to your specifications, and we ensure professional, accountable, and reliable service from the first brushstroke to the last. So the next time that you need your home or business painted, give us a call for your free estimate at 713-829-1581.
Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching Now Media Television.
Welcome to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. I'm Jen Gaudet, your fearless host, entrepreneur, investor, and business strategist. I'm here because I believe that iron sharpens iron, and we talk about what's working in business and even what's not with successful investors and entrepreneurs. What we are able to do is learn from each other, grow, elevate our businesses, and take our lives to the next level. But the beauty in that is that the ripple effect impacts not only ourselves and our families, our teams and their families, but it also impacts our communities and our world. I'm really excited to be in studio today with two amazing entrepreneurs and investors. They are in the real estate, luxury pool building, have been in home building, everything real estate together from an investment standpoint and also from the entrepreneurial standpoint. I am here with John and April Peart. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
So I'm going to dive right into what everybody's going to want to know. How did you guys decide to go, number one, into business, and number two, into business together?
I'll let you start with that.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a long
Well,
story.
I don't think we decided to go into business together. It just kind of happened. He was already a carpenter. I was already a real estate agent. So marrying those two worked out really easily, and so did our marriage.
So I was in home building, and we ended up talking about a new home, and I ended up selling her on the house, and then we ended up doing some sweat equity together, a little bit more than sweat equity. And then
he moved into the home he built for me.
Oh.
So there you have it.
That's like a match made in heaven.
It really was.
Right. So we've been grounded in construction since day one together.
And you have had multiple businesses in multiple states here in the United States. And so talk to me a little bit about that transition, because many people go into business and they never have an exit plan. But you guys have actually exited a couple of companies. You now have another one. I'm sure you're considering what's next from that standpoint as well. So talk to me a little bit about how is business different from when you had your first business to where you are today, and that whole process of planning for exit.
Well, I know we learned a lot the first time we sold a business, obviously. The second time that we got into business, we did things completely differently. We found that being process-driven was what helped us be successful. So we have strong processes in everything that we do from start to finish. There's a process. Everything has a home and it goes in its place throughout the day.
And processes in construction. Talk to me a little bit about that, because that has to be interesting.
Right. So we have what is called Builder Trend, which is operating software. So it allows us to interact with the field, with the subcontractors, with the homeowners. So we all are uploading into their own portal. And then that way, by the time the project's done, there's 200 photos, there's 400 messages between the subs, the contractor. So that way, if anything comes about, say there's a plumbing leak, we can go back early on in the beginning of the pool. We can know exactly where all the pipes are going. So everyone has documented all their work into the system. So it has saved us all kinds of troubleshooting. I think there's no way we can do anything different now.
It helps with project management too, because she doesn't have to be to 35 jobs in one day. She can get those pictures coming in and kind of keep track of where the subcontractor's progress is at daily without being there.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is what you've done with your process as well is you've set it up so that it doesn't matter who is on your team when, you're able to plug and play because you have the processes in place.
Yeah.
And so talk to me a little bit about this, because we have just gone through, and we are still going through supply chain issues and all kinds of changes in the business world, especially in real estate. And so talk to me a little bit about how those processes have had to evolve with the supply chain issues that we've been facing. You know, all of a sudden we have delays in our pipeline and we need longer lead times, or maybe we have some here in Houston, we have some labor shortages. I'm sure you guys have noticed some of those things. So talk to me about how that evolution of your process has to go. Is it an all the time flexible, adaptive thing, or is it something that you kind of see and then try to catch up and then get ahead of? Like, how does that work in your industry?
Well, I mean, the big one was 2 years ago when we couldn't get our hands on gunite. And when you're a pool builder and there's no gunite in sight, and
you can't build.
You can't build.
Right.
So we had to go to shotcrete, right? And tell her about that.
Yeah, so shotcrete is a different way of doing the pools. A lot of back east does that. So you're mixing basically wet concrete through the concrete truck on the job site. So concrete trucks get stuck in traffic. You lose 10 yards of concrete. They just went $1,500 of concrete because they get stuck on the highways all the time. They show up, they sit there, they wait. You order too much, then you are stuck with that. So we had to evolve so much with how to do pools just to get through that summer because we had like 15 contracts sold, but we didn't have gunite to shoot the pools. So we really had, and I was out there with trowels and we were, working in the middle of the night trying to get this stuff to dry because we were waiting for other trucks to get to the job site because they're stuck in traffic. And it was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare, but we survived. That's what entrepreneurs do.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. And so what I'm hearing here is flexibility, adaptability, resilience, and work ethic.
Right.
Four of the key, to me, that's four of the key tenets to entrepreneurship. Right. And I also heard you weren't afraid to go get in there and do the work yourself.
All the time,
right.
So, yeah, I just cleaned up for today, but I'm always dirty. So, but yeah, it's fun. I mean, I like to be out on the job site. I think that's what makes us successful because everyone does come to me and knows that I can answer any questions or solve anything. So it's helpful to have that experience.
Yeah, construction is always hands-on. No matter how many processes you have in place or how many great employees, the owner still has to be involved when it comes to construction.
Right.
Absolutely. And so I want to take this in a little bit of a different spin because we have a lot of entrepreneurs and investors who watch the show. And a lot of times what we find is entrepreneurs have this fear of letting go because they love the role. And what I hear is you love to get dirty, you love the role, but you've also exited. Right. So how do you plan your business and hire the team so that you're not actually necessary, but then you can reinsert yourself into the role so you actually have a saleable business?
Right. You want to start with that one?
Go ahead.
So, yeah, it's tough because you have to have the right people, obviously. Once we find a good subcontractor, a good project manager, we keep them and we pay them very well. So they don't bother to go anywhere else. We pay all of our subs on Friday every week, regardless if it's in a stage or if they paid in full. If they're going to finish that Saturday, we still pay them in full. So I think that keeps us ahead of the game, and we get a little bit more respect out of our subcontractors too, because they know, hey, this is a great account. I can't screw it up.
For sure. Just like with our gunite contractor, he goes from excavation to gunite in 3 days. No one else is doing that. No one else can get their hands on the gunite truck that quickly. But because of that solid relationship that we've built with paying on time, we don't make him wait until Friday either. The minute he gets done pouring that gunite, he gets his check.
That's really fantastic. And so talk to me about what it took to set yourself up so that you had the capital to be able to do that, because a lot of people in your industry, they really struggle and they require those draws. And what I'm seeing, and it's not necessarily happening here locally, but I'm seeing kind of nationally is people are moving towards, they want to be paying more once they see the work done, because there was so much trouble in the last 2 years with paying a contractor and then, oh my goodness, I have a hole in the ground and they're nowhere to be seen. So talk to me about how you set yourself up so that you had the capital to be able to always stay ahead of the game. And what does that look like for somebody who's maybe they're working in it and they're looking to grow in your industry?
Yeah, I think that, we keep reinvesting in the company. So we don't say we get a big job and we're finished out. We just throw that right back in the business. So we just continue to pay ourselves a steady W-2 monthly income so we can budget. And then that way, as money does come in or bigger jobs come in and get paid out, we're looking to expand, buy another company truck, buy another project or hire another project manager.
And it also helps to have some line of credit. So developing relationships with banks so that you have some line of credit for when things do get tight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that, because that's a thing that everybody's worried about right now. We want to talk about top of mind. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about interest rates and how hard it is if you don't have a line of credit already, how hard it is to secure one.
Right.
If you're recently starting out or you're in the first few years of your business. So how did you guys when you first established your line of credit? Let's go back to the first one before you got to how successful you are today. Yeah. Talk to me about the fears associated with that and how you move through those fears, because I coach hundreds of business owners every year, and I've found there's a lot of fear about debt in business. They have a lot of fear around that, and, well, is this going to work for me, and how do I actually leverage those lines of credit in a way that I don't get in too hot of water, basically.
Right.
So talk to me about your first company, the first time you opened that up. I know there was fear because we all have it.
Right. Right.
How did you navigate that, and how were you able to shift your mindset so that it was one of growth and investment instead of fear?
Well, in the beginning, for sure, it's sacrifice. You get a big job, you feel like you can take that profit, but you can't. You really need to put it back into the business. And then secondly, once you do get that line of credit, usually those bills are due monthly. So you have to pay it off all the way down monthly usually.
Right.
And so that for us was very scary at first, but we learned that if we would just pay our bills first, the rest will come, because it is a growing process and it takes time. But once you are continually being consistent with reinvesting that money, then the profits start to come more easily.
And so now I'm going to ask another question, because a lot of the people who watch also are entrepreneurs and investors.
Right.
And a lot of when we get to the point where we're investing, a lot of times we self-fund. I'm going to be I self-fund my businesses as much as I possibly can, because I'm loaning it to myself and paying myself back. I am the bank, basically.
Right.
But how do you know when it's time to shift to that? Because you both have had exits. I'm sure you've explored this. How do you know how much of your own capital to inject and how to do that versus how much debt to leverage when you're starting your next business, for example?
Right. What do you think?
I don't have an answer for that one right off the cuff.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys self-fund? Did you bootstrap your business? All three of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had to put in at least sweat equity. How did you make that decision, and when did you decide, okay, I'm going to leverage debt or a line of credit?
Yeah, the line of credit was mainly just to grow. So, you have to baby step, like April said. So you can't spend, you can't overspend. And the things that have to be paid out, you have to get those big chunks off your plate. You can't, it's better to leverage some of the smaller stuff in the beginning, get comfortable with that, pay that off, and then you can work your way up. Because a lot of times, I think that new companies, they'll leverage the big items, like pool companies. One of the largest ticket items is the pool equipment. So they'll get an account for the pool equipment, and then they'll use the large gunite payment and continue to build a pool, and then wait to pay that off at the end. Well, if you do 10 pools, all of a sudden you have a $150,000 bill at the end of the month, and you're like, oh man, I've already spent all this other money. So I think you need to graduate to that point. Start small with a company credit card, get used to paying that off on a regular basis without having to carry that debt from month to month. And then I think of that, you graduate to getting a loan and learn how to use that appropriately.
And so what I'm hearing is something that nobody likes to talk about. Like, we're talking about the real deal behind the business, right? What nobody wants to talk about is, hey, we always have to put back into the business. Even, it doesn't matter if we have our first $100,000, $1 million, a $10 million, $100 million business. We always have to be putting money back and reinvesting into the business if we want to grow. Sure. And what I have seen happen is a lot of people, especially when they go from like the $500,000 revenue to like the 1.2 million, and all of a sudden they have a healthy margin, they want to take that and increase their lifestyle. But what I'm hearing is that is not at all what you guys do. It's not what I do either.
Right.
How did you have the discipline the first time it happened, and how do you continue to have the discipline to not let your lifestyle exceed what it is that's happening with your business growth?
It's all about the W-2. What we pay ourselves. We pay ourselves a modest W-2, and it helps out at tax time, and it just helps keep us honest, I guess, as it grows.
So, do you guys up your salary regularly, or how does that work?
No, we're usually the lowest paid people on payroll.
Okay, can you say that? Can you say that again for the audience? Because I think a lot of people, we do have some people who are in corporate, and they think they're going to go become an entrepreneur, and all of a sudden they're going to be getting the top line revenue, and that's their income, and that's just not what happens.
Yeah.
So can we say that again? Because this is a writer downer, folks. If you don't listen and write this down, if you are struggling with that work life financial balance, investments, what do?
Low W-2s.
And we don't grow. And I heard you're the lowest paid person on your team.
For sure.
Yep. And we do member draws and some other stuff that would come in as a bonus to us. But for the most part, we try and keep that, as monthly, consistency as much as possible.
I mean, we do home office.
Yeah.
And we build pools. So we have a big pool in our backyard. So that was a write-off. There are many benefits to working out of your home office. And when we park on it, we store equipment on it. We have lunches on it. I mean, there are a lot of write-offs. So it kind of counterbalances that low salary that you take. It all comes out in the wash.
Absolutely. But I think the biggest key is, because I want to move into the next step, you're not just entrepreneurs, you're also investors.
Correct.
And for us to actually, it's easy to make an income. Right. It's easy to make an income. It's easy to generate an income. As an entrepreneur, if we're an entrepreneur, we are a high performer. We're the best that we can be at our business. And that's the only way we're successful. We're the top 1% in our prospective roles, if you will.
Correct.
Otherwise we wouldn't succeed.
Right.
But it's easy to generate income. It's not easy to turn that income into wealth if you're spending it or you're not physically responsible. So what is it that you guys have found success with, that you've been able to set that up and then choose to invest? And how do you invest? Because this is another question. A lot of people put all of their eggs in their business basket. But as entrepreneurs, we know better than that. We have to have some diversification, because what happens if the market crashes or our particular business cycle is in a trough. So how did you decide what and where you're going to invest so that you can actually turn your income into wealth?
Well, some of it has to do with starting different arms of our company. So, for instance, we want to have a service side so that we can maintain pools, repair pools, and that stays going even in a down market. And then also being able to stay with the current trends like digital currency, being able to accept digital currency as payment kind of gives us an edge to then move that money into other investments.
And how do you choose where you guys invest? I'm really curious about this, because I have my own strategy. Everybody I've talked to who's an investor, we all have our own strategies. So as people who are very heavy in the real estate market as your business, I know you guys are real estate investors. You've done fix and flips and so on and so forth. But how do you make your investment decisions?
I think a lot of it's always going to be somehow with construction. Yeah. Just because, we've been doing it for 25 years. So real estate, buying land, we know all that's going to go up even in a down market, or it'll plateau at a minimum. So I think we're always comfortable with real estate purchases.
Because it's what you know.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in that as well. I believe you invest in what you know, because for example, I'm just going to use crypto since you mentioned digital currency, and a lot of people invested in cryptocurrency, and some people made a lot of money doing so, and some people got taken advantage of. Neither my husband or I had expertise in cryptocurrency, so we didn't put money into cryptocurrency. My husband builds the infrastructure for cryptocurrency. So what do we invest in? The infrastructure companies behind it. But we don't know about the actual, digital currency or the fintech side. So we make our choices based off of what we know. And I was in medicine, so I invest heavily in medical tech, medicine. He's in engineering. So we stick to our core expertise as well. And so I really like that you said that. And I'm going to ask you the next question, because you talked about land. You diversified within real estate. You talked about land. You talked about flips. Talk to me a little bit about what other ways you can look at that if you're maybe wanting to get into real estate as an asset diversification, because real estate investing as an asset diversification is very real, even if people have no background. What would you say to somebody who doesn't have a background in real estate that wants to maybe explore that option?
What do you think? You're the realtor.
That's a tough one. First of all, buy your own first house. I think buying your first house, if you're not currently an investor, if you don't own a home, buy a home. You need to be in the game, so to speak, before you can start to, branch out. But starting small, buying things, going in on an investment with other people so that you don't have to come up with all of the money on your own is also smart.
And so you guys have done fix and flips. When you did your first fix and flip, did you self-fund it and do it all yourself, or did you go in? Or?
We did.
Okay. And
you can find a house and, put 5 to 10,000 in it and just put some lipstick on it and put it right back on the market. So that's when you just start small and you kind of get, comfortable with that, do that a couple times and know that works. And then you buy one that needs more rehab or one that you can add on to very easily, finish out an attic or whatever that is. So it's just a graduation of being comfortable with that, make sure that works first, and then.
Oh, I heard start small.
Yes.
I heard start small, learn, get your bearings, and work your way up.
Right.
So what I have found, and I'm sure you have seen this too, because you guys work in the industry. A lot of times people try to go for the whole head honcho, and their first investment property is a $3 million property. If you're an investor and you're savvy, you never start with that.
Right.
You learn what you need to know and how you need to do things from the beginning. So I really like that you said that.
You can't get rich off of one job. So you really gotta look at, okay, that was successful. What did I learn from that? What did I make mistakes? And then bring that to the next one. And then eventually, you will be successful and you can get those larger, fish.
So talk to me about when you moved, because you guys we're in Texas currently. You're in Texas currently, but you were in Idaho before.
Right.
What was the transition like? Did you guys research the area before you moved? Did you just say, oh, hey, I'm going to go set up shop in Texas? What did that process look like? Because you guys were established, you had a business, you knew what you were doing, so you have a core skill set, but every geographic location is very different.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about how that transition transpired.
Well, it happened when the market crashed in 2007, so we had no choice but to leave Idaho. We had just flipped a house, made $100,000 in 3 weeks, so we were able to get started on our feet somewhere else, but we didn't know what to expect. We had an investor friend that wanted to start some storage units here in Texas, so he sent us down to get that started. And then as soon as we got that off the ground, we started looking at our own opportunities and quickly found out that there was a lot of money to be made in Houston, being the third largest economy in the country. Mm-hmm. So Texas has been good to us.
And it's a continual learning curve too. So you guys moved here in 2008?
Correct.
That's the same time that I moved. We moved here in 2008 too. And what Houston was in 2008 versus what it is today is completely different.
Right.
In 2008, there were like 2 real industries here. It was medicine and oil and gas. And now we are one of the biggest tech startup hotbeds. We have Meditech. We have the medical center, of course. We have oil and gas. We have a lot of data technology coming in. There's just a lot more diversification. So as Houston has diversified and you guys are in real estate, what have you seen shift in the buyer sentiment or there's been a mass influx of people here? How has that transitioned your business? And how have you been able to communicate with the growing international exposure and all the different cultures that are coming in? Because we are truly a multicultural city.
Right.
For sure. I think the market has changed for sure. People have changed through COVID. Everyone was working at home. Mm-hmm. So that's changed our industry significantly because when we are on the job site, so is the homeowner.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. So that, that's had its own.
I didn't even think of that because I built my pool in 2008.
Right. So now, they kind of try to be a general contractor at the same time and, they'll come out and it's the customers that know just enough to point something out. But then they also think they know how to do it. So sometimes we'll get, in a little conflicts with the husbands and, well, this is wrong and this is why you need to do it. And we're like, no, we've done this 100 times. We know how the end product is. But they look at that immediate, they don't see the, the end result. So having them work from home has definitely been different.
It's a challenge. And so I'm hearing crucial conversations and communication is a very big key. So how have you, and you have a team, so how have you adapted yourself and then led a team to be able to have those crucial conversations so you can keep the jobs moving while people are wanting to interfere with your work?
Well, again, Builder Trend, the app really helps to have that portal. That way you're not getting bogged down because if you've got 15 jobs to get to in a week and every homeowner is home and wants to have a 2-hour conversation about their project, you can't get your weekly work done.
Right.
So we usually refer them to the portal, to the pictures that are there so they can get that communication virtually rather than face to face. As important as that is, it just can't be as often as they'd like sometimes, but they do appreciate still having access to the information.
Yeah, because they always want to know what's next. And we're like, okay, check your portal.
Here's your schedule.
We always book out a week in advance, so we're always forecasting ahead. It's never surprise that day.
Hi, we're gonna shoot gunite today.
Right. So we're always forecasting ahead, which is great. Which we have a great project manager for that. So she's and she's a female, she's a rock star. She was in education first. we brought her over, and then so she's great with communication with the homeowners. But we really, the homeowners, it's been different the last 2 years.
It's been fun. Okay.
Sure. And they're still working from home.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
and we do have to unfortunately take a brief break, but we'll be right back after these messages.
Thank you.
Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Gaudet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
You probably already know that first impressions are never forgotten. However, did you also know the way you feel about yourself contributes to your quality of life and the opinions of others? Hi, my name is Kristen Gunderson. My mission is to help people by flipping the switch inside their body, which in turn will help them to feel better and do more. In fact, once you feel your best, you will be able to pour into others, keep your cup full, and reach every goal you have set up for yourself, whether it's personal, family, or business related. The way you feel will dictate the way you think and the way you live your life. Feeling your best is necessary to achieve your goals. You deserve to put yourself first. Let me help you flip the switch so you can feel better and do more. Let's talk. I know I can help.
Hi, my name is Elias Basabe, founder of Little Maria's Cafe restaurant in West Houston, located in 2901 Wilkers Drive, Suite 137, first floor. Here you will find a family-friendly and relaxed environment where you can enjoy a delicious homemade breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We know you need to get to work fast, and we want you to enjoy a tasty, quality, and healthy homemade food. So come and visit us for a great nutritious meal at an affordable price. We specialize in tasty breakfasts, deli sandwiches, fish, even barbecue cookouts. Little Maria's Cafe has it all. We only use the great quality of Boar's Head meats and products. Just like you, we love to get you up early. Little Maria's Cafe is open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can dine in with us during breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or we can have it ready for you for pickup. Visit us today on the first floor of the CMPC Center at 2901 Wilkers Drive, Suite 137, first floor. Order now at 832-667-8376, Little Maria's Cafe.
Stop and think. How often do you take the time to set goals? And when you set those goals, how often do you hit them? The problem is the word goal setting. We all have goals, but goals are just wishes. Goals are what we want. What we really need is called result setting. My name is Katrin Becker, and what I do is create tailor-made result plans that ensure people will hit their targets. If you are committed for real results, let's chat and see which program is right for you and your team. Goals are just what we want, but together, results are what we will achieve.
Small owners and interests are protected. As general counsel for you and your organization, I can draft and review solid contracts, minimize the risk of litigation, review and prepare comprehensive business succession plans, or help you navigate your company with the local, state, and federal government. Take a decisive step today. I'm here to make sure your legal rights are protected and you have a peace of mind that you deserve.
Welcome back to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. I'm Jen Gaudet, your fearless host, investor, entrepreneur, and business strategist. If you're just tuning in, you're going to want to go to nowmedia.tv, click on Power CEOs, the show, and catch the first segment. Why? Because I have Angel and John Peart here, and they have been talking all things real estate, from the construction to the entrepreneurial side to the investor side, and it has been pure gold. So if you're just tuning in, you're going to want to go catch that first segment on demand. But without further ado, we're going to continue that conversation, because in the break, we were chatting a little bit about the trend, at least here in the Houston metro area, where people buy a piece of land and they design the property and make like a boutique hotel or Airbnb situation. And I know you guys are custom pool builders, you've been custom home builders, you've been investors. Talk to me a little bit about what's happening with all of these pop-up boutique hotels and Airbnbs.
Yeah, so we just did one on Lake Houston. It was an RV park. It was a luxury RV park, and it was beautiful. So it was like a 9,000 square foot pool, had a ton of sun decks, 2 separate spas, kid area for them to play in, and cornhole section, and all the splash pad and all that. So that
covered wagons to sleep in. They sleep in covered wagons. It's adorable.
Yeah. So that RV, is I think growing, and having that luxury resort for them to park their RV is awesome. So that was a really fun project that we did.
Mm-hmm. I think entrepreneurship, people are starting to get more interested in that period. And so those kind of projects are starting to be more frequent.
And do you find, I'm really curious about this, because I personally have never considered doing that myself. I have no interest. I don't want to be in B. I don't want, I don't want to be that kind of person, or have that kind of responsibility, because I just like to jet set. So, I mean, let's be real. I like to jet set. I don't like to be stuck to one place or in proximity of one place. So what kinds of people are you finding that are going into this, that are wanting to have something that's a resort style or a boutique situation? Is it people who are wanting to retire and have a second career? Is it people who are in corporate who are like, what's next and how can I be more in control of my own income and revenue? What is the thought process, or what are you seeing in that area?
I mean, if we're being honest, I think people are tired of working in the woke corporate America world. I think people are looking for a way to make money that suits their lifestyle and their belief system a little more closely. Mm-hmm. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've done a lot of, a lot of people are buying land and moving out towards outside the city. So we're doing a lot of, I guess their getaway home, their ranch style houses. And we've done a ton of resort style, backyards for that. And that's fun because they kind of go all out because that might be their end,
their retirement home. So. I got it. And so there's two things that I'm hearing. I see this too. There's a mass exodus of corporate. Yep. The bigger companies are school, the work-life integration is a thing, like forced to return to an office where all you do is sit on a computer with Teams and work on a computer is
creativity is squashed. Yep. Free thinking is squashed.
And people had a taste of, I want to work from home. I don't see a point in going commute to do what I just do at home.
Right.
So there's definitely that movement and migration. And there's also been before COVID and before pandemic, there was that migration as well, as to, I don't align with my corporate values, or the corporate culture says this, but they don't practice what they preach. Right. And so, I definitely see that as well. And that gives them a good opportunity to have more control. And the other thing that's interesting that I'm seeing, and you may be seeing this too, and I'd love to hear your input on it, is, people are realizing that job security is a myth. Sure. There is no such thing as job security. Right. And, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, if you had a job in a company, you knew you were going to climb the ladder or you were going to be set for life. You were going to be able to go to one company and stay with one company. And that's just not the case anymore. Right. They're letting you go like this when it suits you. And even worse for people who are, sorry, I don't mean to age myself, but people who are, on the other side of 45 and older are being let go a lot more rapidly, even though they've dedicated 20, 25 years to one company. Absolutely. Because they were higher paid or it costs more for them on insurance. Mm-hmm. And so I think I'm seeing a lot of those shifts. Is that the kind of thing that you're seeing? They tend to be in the 45 to 55-ish range. Absolutely. They have a nice salary, but they're like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be around anymore. Let me do something else.
That's right.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So talk to me a little bit more about these luxury backyards, because that is a trend that I have been witnessing since I moved here. Mm-hmm. Since I moved here, it was just put the pool in the ground. Right. And then, somewhere around 2013, 14, everybody wanted the fancier pools. Mm-hmm. Like, it was more the exception to the rule before that. Right. And now it seems that everybody's wanting a resort style pool. Talk to me about how do you know you have the house for it and the room for it? Right. What kind of budgeting do we need to consider? And, the other question is funding. Like, lending is tightening up, interest rates are high. So what are the considerations for maybe a home owner who's looking at a resort style backyard?
And it all depends on the homeowner too. So, we get so much influx from people moving to Texas. So we're getting people from California that want the really modern pool. We have people from the East Coast quite a bit coming in, and they're kind of trending more modern. So a lot of it has been a lot more, straight geometric pools, real clean, simple lines. You don't have that traditional kidney bean with the rock waterfall anymore. We still love doing that because it's fun to build the rock waterfalls. But we've trended more modern, really white tile around the pool decking, which is also another nightmare because the homeowners complain about anything that sticks to the tile. So it's a constant struggle to keep, because even they do a white marble decking around the pool, and in the fall time or springtime, there's all these leaves coming down. Well, they stain the decking, mm-hmm. and we're under construction, and so we're always constantly keeping that clean while we're finishing this pool. So a lot of the new materials are a lot brighter, whiter. And then the plasters are a lot darker. So they want that kind of Greek Isle modern look, I guess.
We try to steer them away from white and more towards gray, just so that they don't have that staining going down the road. Mm-hmm. But John goes out, or one of our salespeople will go out and do the initial estimate. So that's where we measure, take pictures, and at that point we can decide on what pool might be best for that backyard.
And if it's a small, if it's a small pool, we'll incorporate turf in the yard, put a putting green in, so that way the entire backyard is usable. Mm-hmm. So, we'll maximize the pool to the utility easement, but after that, we're putting turf behind it, creating an area for the kids to play in, and then they don't have to worry about the mosquitoes as much because there's not as much grass back there.
And I think since travel has become more cumbersome, I think this started pre-COVID, but for sure during COVID, people weren't going anywhere. So they were sitting at home looking into their empty backyard to the ugly brown fence and wanting to do something to kind of get away but stay home. So we do a lot of fire pits. In the pool, we incorporate a lot of raised bar tops with bar stools so that they can interact with people at the outdoor kitchen or under the patio cover. So It's really changed. It's more of a destination than a backyard.
Your own oasis in the city of Houston, which is quite a lot of cement.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And so I love, you don't have to sell me on resort style pool. I've got one in my backyard and I'm the old school. I like it natural. I want it to look like a jungle. I've got all the henna and everything. And I've got that rock waterfall because that's who I am as a human being. But the beauty behind custom oasis is you're really designing what they want. And so everything is bespoke when you're doing a custom pool. It's not like the old school plug and play. We're going to put in your pool for $32,000. You're going to get this. Yep. And
the oval or the kidney.
Yep. And so as this has shifted and people have shifted to saying that really and truly your backyard is your best room in the house.
Correct.
As that trend continues, what do you see the future of pool building? Where do you see the next 3-5 years going with regards to construction and trends?
Well, trends, definitely the price is going up. So it's a constant battle for us to keep our subcontractors and our suppliers, at bay. So as soon as it warms up, every April we get that email from all the subs, hey, this is the new set price for the year. So we all wait for that email to come out. So we're constantly trying to build during the wintertime and really take advantage of some of those a little bit slower times, but also, the subs aren't getting as hot during the summertime and the quality is a little bit better in the wintertime because they can slow down, take their time. They're not, overheating. But, that's...
So if you're building a luxury backyard, do it in the winter.
Do it in the winter and do it now. Don't wait. People always say, well, I want to wait till next year. But next year, no matter what, the prices are going up 6 to 8% every year. We don't set the price. Our suppliers do.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. And with what's happening with inflation, we all see that. And so I am going to ask the other question, which is the converse. We've seen higher prices. We've seen it lending get a little bit tighter for some people. We've seen, as interest rate goes up, you have less wiggle room if you have to get a loan from what your budget is. Have you seen a slowdown in luxury building or has it stayed steady or are you actually seeing an uptick?
I think it's stayed pretty steady. I mean, it was a little slow this winter, but we still had 70 leads come in between January and March. So there's definitely a lot of people that want to do business. The money part of it, I think, has held them back a little bit because it is more expensive and more difficult to get approved.
Yeah, and we're seeing a little bit more where they are price shopping. So, before it was 2 to 3 bids, now it's 8 to 10. So you really got to sell yourself, set yourself apart. Your design's got to be top notch. You got to put all the little details in there that people are going to appreciate.
And we even put together a checklist that says, let us help you compare apples to apples, because what happens is people get 10 estimates right now and they inevitably go to the bottom number and they look at that number. They don't compare anything that's itemized throughout the list. So really, when you look at that number and compare it to our number might be a little bit more, but you're getting so much more pool for the money. So we've had to physically put together a list because people will not compare.
And so that adds to the customer experience, right? You're a luxury, and luxury, we expect I'm just going to be real. Let's just be real. When you're in a luxury market, whether you're buying a luxury car, a luxury pool, a luxury home,
you want service.
You want that service. You want that concierge. I know that I'm taken care of. I know that it's going to be exactly what I need. My hand is held.
That's right.
And so your checklist is one area. How else are you creating that concierge experience for your clients? Because I think this is relevant no matter what business someone is in. All businesses now we're in a tighter economy. So we have to be better. We have to be having a better client experience than the next guy to get that sale. So what are some things that you're doing that are maybe that are surprises or pleasant surprises for your clients?
So we go in with, I guess, kind of opposite of what most pool builders do. So we come in with everything and then we can scale down. So we like to build it how we want our personal backyard. And we tell the customer that we want to include everything, and then that way we can scale down what might not be important. But that's really important because some pool builders will come in with the cheapest plaster, one light, one skimmer, and then the homeowner never knows that. They just go right down to the bottom. And then I was getting on a conversation yesterday where the wife's husband is like, well, this other company is cheaper. I'm like, well, share the numbers with me. And sure enough, our pool's 8 feet longer. Well, the husband didn't see that. So he goes right down the bottom. Well, I'm sure my wife told him everything that we want. I'm just going to go down to this bottom number. Mm-hmm. So we're always engaging. We're always, educating the customer.
Follow up.
Really know what you're paying for. Because some will have a pool and spa, but then the heater is optional, which you would just assume, hey, I'm getting a spa, I should get a heater, right? So sometimes we'll look like $5,000 more. Well, yeah, because we were including the heater. It's a no-brainer to us.
Right.
So, there's some weird sales tactics out there that, they're trying to get that.
Well, because they get in the door and then they get the upsell.
Right.
But when you're talking about a luxury buyer, the worst thing in the world you can do if you're like, and this is for anybody who sells to luxury clientele, the worst thing you can do is nickel and dime someone.
Right.
If you're going to sell me something, I'm more likely I will buy the $80,000 2-week vacation, knowing that everything is taken care of and I don't have to think about anything, as opposed to doing the $20,000 and it ends up costing me $55, $60, but you're nickel and diming me every step of the way. When you're talking about a luxury clientele, you have to know your customer, and I think that applies in any area of business. So, how did you learn your customer? Was your customer different now than it was in Idaho, for example? Is your customer? I know it's evolved. We've talked about the staying at home side of things, but as an avatar, like the attributes of your ideal customer, has that changed any for you, or how do you handle that adaptation in your messaging?
Yeah, we always ask kind of what they do for a living, how old their kids are. So I think a lot of that design kind of goes around their age of their kids. If they're going to keep play set in the yard for the next 5 years, or if it's going to go away because the pool's there. So that allows us to adapt our design around it. The 5-6 years ago, it was more oil and gas. Now it's more tech. So with the tech industry, I think they want more of the LED lights and the gadgets and the full app on their phone, and so they can program, anything, color changing lights in the patio. So I think that has just progressed into more of a modern pool anyway with our type of client.
I love the tech too. I'm just going to be real.
Right.
So tech has changed. Let's talk about the tech in business, because you talk to us a lot about, you have that client portal, you have your project management software. What about artificial intelligence? Because that is literally the buzzword. Is artificial intelligence something that you guys have integrated in from your predictive pipeline, or from your operation standpoint? Like, how are you integrating some of the newer technologies?
I don't think it's hit us yet. I think construction is probably the last to get AI, just because.
Well, and the pool industry is 5 years behind, right? Tech-wise. But we do have a robotic cleaner that cleans your pool.
But, we do integrate characters and some other 3D renderings and videos with that, show that stuff. But I don't think we're there yet.
No.
Interesting. I'd be interested to see how that progresses. So this is a show. We love to add value. We love to talk to people and give anybody, no matter what their industry, some sort of takeaway. So I'm going to ask you guys, if you could go back and do this all over again, what is the one thing you wish you would have known when you first got started?
I'll let you answer that.
Oh my gosh. Who you hire matters. I think that's the most important thing, no matter what business you're running. I think you really have to take the emotion out of the entire hiring practice and really look at what someone brings to the table skill-wise, experience-wise, and try not to get caught up in how much you maybe like the person or how you feel about them personally, because it really comes down to skill. Because at the end of the day, when you want to be away from the job site, you have to have that blind faith that they're going to be able to handle everything just the way you would. So I think hiring right is the most important thing in business.
Okay, so hire right. Now talk to me about, so we have a lot of people who are starting their first business and going through the motions. So hiring right is, I agree with you. Our people is essential. People is the most important resource that you're going to have. Hire the right one that has the skill sets that you need for what you're doing and has the culture. So the trust, you need to have integrity. You need to be able to hire somebody who has integrity and suss that out. So now let's talk to the people who are actively growing their business and going towards exit, because you guys have had a couple of exits. Like, I heard you. We learned the first time. We're going to do it differently. For the person who's never had an exit, but is like, okay, in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm looking towards exit and I want to grow towards that. What is one thing you wish you would have known before your first exit?
I think it's important to pick your battles, because if you fight them all, you're not going to have energy to fight the big ones. And so really just handling the things that are your biggest obstacles first, and letting some of the littler things go and not worrying about every single little detail.
Okay.
And then also, I think when you are looking to grow and have an exit strategy, you need to have it self-sufficient. The business has to be self-sufficient. It can't rely on the owners as much. You need to have everyone, all the staff, well-oiled machine, and then that way it is an easy handoff to someone to buy the company.
Mm-hmm. And we did talk about that in the first segment a little bit. How do you build the business so that you can remove yourself and then reinsert yourself in just the things you want to do?
Right. And financially, making sure that you're setting things up properly financially from the very beginning, never commingling, making sure that things are separate, and you hire the best accountant you can afford, because those numbers, when you do go to exit, that can become a huge nightmare, and it can make or break the sale of a future venture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of times what smaller business owners will do is they'll do a lot of write-offs and seller discretionary. Well, that actually impacts your asset when you look for sales. So, one of the things I do a lot of coaching towards exit. One of the things that we like to tell them is, listen, you have a 3 to 5 year exit. Let's quit with the SDE. Yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more taxes, but your asset's going to sell at a much higher multiple. So, at the end of the day, you're going to make a lot more money. Yeah. So, I love that you said that. And we are unfortunately getting towards the end. So, y'all have dropped so much information here. If our viewers or our listeners would like to get in touch with you to learn more about custom pools or home building or real estate investing or anything in the industry or even entrepreneurship or, how to work with your spouse, right? If they would like to get in touch with you, how would you like to have them get in touch with you? Start with you, April.
Probably just email to start with.
Okay, can you that? Yes, please, because we do have some people who just listen.
April at luxoutdoorstexas.com. That's LUXE outdoors with an S and Texas spelled out.
Awesome. And how would you like to be reached out, John?
Yeah, through our website, we have a calendar that automatically will allow them to pick a date of when they want to make the appointment, what's convenient for them, and then we'll come out and schedule that appointment.
Awesome. And can you just say that website for our listeners?
Yeah, www.luxoutdoorstexas.com.
Yep. And outdoors with an S and Texas spelled out. I know we have to say that because so many people just do the TX.
That's right.
It's so fascinating. Okay. Well, thank you so much for everything. And if you had one thing that you wanted to leave our listeners or viewers with, is there anything that you want to close with?
Build a pool now. Don't wait, because again, prices go up every single year, no matter what. So even though interest rates are a little bit higher, you're still going to save more money if you build now.
Absolutely. We'd love to service you and look forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely. So don't wait. If it's something that you want, make sure you figure it out and get it done. It always goes up. We know that. That's in anything in life. I have never had a year where my expenses went down.
No.
That is for sure.
In 25 years in business, I've never had that. So it is definitely the case. And, I also would say, prioritization is important, because you were saying you like to start with the full project and then what is important to people. And we can always pick and choose out, but start with the big vision and then know your priorities.
Right.
So if you're listening at home, yes, now I am going to talk to you. Yes, you have sat through the last several minutes with us, and we have talked about all things from working with your spouse, from starting a business to exiting a business and everything in between. But that's only part of the equation. Knowledge is just this little bit of piece, but the magic happens here where we implement. So my challenge to you is take one thing you heard from April and John. Maybe it's to have your processes in place. Maybe it's to make sure your financials are completely separate. If you're that person, we all have made that mistake in the past. Trust me, I know. But pick the one thing you heard that you're not implementing right now and implement it today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Because today is the day where we choose to do something to move us forward. If we continue to just do everything the same, we never learn, we never grow, and we don't shift our growth curve. We don't become a better human being because of it. So pick that one thing and implement it today. And unfortunately, all good things do come to an end, including this show. But the good news is we're going to be here the same time, same station next week. Don't go anywhere. You are going to see that here always. I'm always going to bring some amazing guests to you. But until then, we want you to win today, win this week, and we'll see you next time.
This has been a Now Media Television feature presentation. All rights reserved.
Hello, my name is Charles Sanders, and I'm a personal injury attorney with the Rose Sanders Law Firm, based in Texas and with offices in Houston, Dallas, McAllen, and El Paso. We assist individuals throughout the entire state who have suffered harm due to the negligence of another person. With my experience as an insurance adjuster, I understand and I know exactly how to counter the strategies employed by insurance companies, and I'm bringing this knowledge to you. We handle a wide variety of situations ranging from car accidents to defamation and unsafe property conditions. We are here to provide support and legal representation at no cost to you. Call us today at 713-221-3773.
Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Gaudet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
The tax and bookkeeping team is key to any successful business. At Gunderson's Bookkeeping, our passion is to help small business owners grow, be profitable, and to prosper. We specialize in supporting small to mid-sized business owners who want to hire a full-time or even a part-time bookkeeper, but just do not have the funds. In addition, we free business owners from the tedious tasks of bookkeeping and help them focus on their business operations, their growth, and profitability. Gunderson's Bookkeeping is your business solutions partner offering a broad range of services to meet the needs of our clients. A profitable business needs accurate and reliable books, so take a strong step and call us today for your personal, no-risk consultation.
Working through the legal system is challenging and risky, especially if you don't have the right attorney at your side. Hi, my name is Sonia Aston, and I'm an attorney with over 30 years of experience. I've helped small and medium-sized businesses and business owners to make sure that their legal rights and interests are protected. As general counsel for you and your organization, I can draft and review solid contracts, minimize the risk of litigation, review and prepare comprehensive business succession plans, or help you navigate your company with the local, state, and federal government. Take a decisive step today. I'm here to make sure your legal rights are protected and you have a peace of mind that you deserve.
Tell me, are you looking to sell a house or buy a home? Hi, I'm Michelle Briggs, and your real estate needs are my priority. With over 2 decades worth of experience within the real estate industry, I know I can help. Whether you're selling a house and moving on to the next chapter or buying a home to create generational wealth for your family, I am the realtor for you. Call me now at 713-256-5465 and let me handle all of your real estate needs.